Melissa Klein is the owner of a bakery in Oregon, and recently they made headlines because they refused to bake a wedding cake for a lesbian couple. Now, a lawsuit was filed, and apparently state officials went after them because of discrimination issues, and they were fined $150,000. They said that forced them to shut down their bakery, and recently Melissa did do a little bit of a speech at an event, and she kind of talks about what this did to her business and what it's done to her life. Let's take a quick look at the video.
I would sit and sketch up designs, and sometimes it would take several different designs until we got the perfect cake that just matched them. And sometimes it would take 2 hours of sitting in a cake tasting. And if they chose me to do their cake, I'm sorry. Sure. I would just feel so honored to be able to be a part of such an amazing, special day.
That people who are different than us should never be able to have. And those people cry for their own things, but cry for me because, like all right-wingers, I don't understand a problem unless it personally happens to me, and I would like to discriminate someone while I feel sorry for myself. Back to you.
Okay, so that's at the Values Voter Summit, okay. And so think about what she's saying. I put all this tender love and care into my wedding cakes. Now they want me to give it to lesbians. I mean, I poured my heart into that thing, and now you're gonna make me not gonna let me discriminate against people. Now look, I've been torn on this issue from day one. I actually have, because I think that part of freedom is the freedom to be a dick, right? And if you're a small business owner, I'm a little torn on how much you can, we let you do that, right? So now, the thing that, of course, is the counter to that is just substitute gay people for interracial marriage, and you'll have your answer, right? Yeah. If the same exact woman, I used to do this for white people and I loved it, but now this nigger wants to get married to a white girl and I got to do that cake for him? You serious, right? And everybody would hate her, right? But now she says, now I got to let this lesy and gay guy, this, And so I don't want my precious cakes going to them. By the way, that couple that does the cakes then went and started doing cakes for reparative therapy. Yep. So the people who psychologically torment gay people, trying to turn them straight, they'll make cakes for them. So
what are you still torn?
So look, again, the small business aspect of it, to me, because remember, we're a country that the KKK exists. They can exist. They can do marches. They can, it's a free country. So I despise the KKK, but they're here, right? So now she's not as bad as the KKK. She's got, in some ways, that subtle form of discrimination that is so prevalent in the country has a worse effect, because you can easily dismiss the KKK, whereas what she does is applauded in public and is more widespread, but she's obviously not as malicious as the KKK. It's a free country, and so I feel like telling somebody you have to bake a cake for somebody is a little weird, right?
Okay.
But at the same time, there is that fundamental and obvious discrimination that we just talked about.
Also, there's one really interesting thing that I want to bring up, and I'm not sure how this all works legally speaking, but when you have a Catholic school, right? Those Catholic schools can discriminate against gay and lesbian teachers. We've done stories where they're able to fire a teacher if they find out that he or she is gay or lesbian. So why is it that in that case it's okay, but in this case it's not?
Well, also, there's a lot of public schools who have fired teachers just because it turns out they don't wear clothes under their clothes when pictures are taken. Nude pictures, that they actually have a body that doesn't always have clothes on.
Right. No, so Anna, then you get to another interesting point, which is, okay, you are allowed to discriminate as long as you're an actual religion, which is the exception we've always made. Religions have been hateful forever, so we let you continue being hateful, right?
Oh, that's such a great joke.
So that's an exception we've carved out, and so she then says, kind of like Hobby Lobby, why can't I discriminate too?
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's a tough question. But I don't have any sympathy for her. Do you see the distinction
So you
there?
have a legal problem, maybe. You don't,
Yeah,
but you don't have a. You're not the spirit.
what-
You're against them in spirit.
Yeah, when she cries about oh my God, imagine if I had to bake a cake for
Poor
a
me.
gay person, right? I don't have any sympathy for that. But at the same time, as a philosophical issue on what America should and shouldn't do, I think that's an interesting issue.
Okay, here's the thing about. So if the KKK opened a cake shop, they'd still have to make the cakes for those people. They
They
still
would,
have to
that's
make
right.
cakes for
That's right.
blacks and whites because we're, even
Because,
though.
no, because the KKK is a national organization. It's not just two people.
Yeah, well,
Right.
also, but what I'm saying is we live in, people like to say we have a free market. We don't. We have a heavily regulated market, so that is also supported by taxpayers and the government and infrastructure. So when she's baking those cakes, she's using electricity, she's using the sewer, she's using water, she's using the road to get her stuff that the government. So she's using infrastructure that the government and the people of America have provided. So now you can't use that infrastructure to discriminate against other people, and while you're in business, that's why you can't do that. And
the KKK walks on public streets that we pay
but
taxes
they're not
for.
doing business. They're expressing an opinion. And by
Right.
the way, it's not like, people go, I shouldn't have to bake a cake for two homos. It's not like you're a business that makes cakes all day long. It's not like you're sitting on your couch watching the Dodger game and somebody from the government walks in, bake a cake for those queers. That's not what's happening. What? I'm fucking watching TV. I gotta bake a cake? That's not what's happening.